I'm so glad you're joining me. Welcome to another edition of Diversity of Urban Art. My name is Lynn Whipple. We're here at my studio. It's McRae Art Studios in Winter Park, Florida. We're a group of 25. We've been together for 25 years now. It's almost impossible. I'm very excited to show you guys my latest work. I've been an artist for about 22 years, full-time, and I've done all kinds of different things. I've done collage, I've done drawing, painting, mixed media, and the thing that I've been enjoying the most is painting. So this is fairly new for me, and I just want to share with you the joy of working in this way is completely not knowing what's going to happen. This whole process for me has been just a sheer pleasure. I make a big mess, I go in, I don't know if you can tell, but there's drips and sloppiness and there's stenciling and there's just nothing but pleasure. So when I start these big pieces, I just set up a table, I use squirt bottles, I do it outside sometimes. It's all about the moment. I just get into it, make a mess, spin it, and I don't have any clue what it's going to look like. But once it starts to get interesting, then as an artist, I'm going to have to pull it together in some way that makes sense. So for me, that's a big graphic element. And this just made me laugh so hard to think, what if I wrote OMG? And that was my graphic element. This started as just a single painting. Then I had another painting. And then all of a sudden I had 3 on the wall. And I thought, who needs a 9-foot OMG? I don't know. But here they are. So for me, it was just a pleasure to play with. This is another version of one here. This was kind of fun. Yesterday, it's the same process. I had the pleasure of teaching with some children. So to teach them how not to be too rigid in the beginning in painting, we did this painting together. And they would walk by, and I had several groups of kids at all ages, and they would say, let's see green, let's see green. So I would show them green, and I would slap it on, we'd play with it, we'd let it drip, we'd add dots, and then I'd say, should I spin it? And they're like, yeah, spin it. So we'd spin it. And then the next group would come by, and I said, well, what do you want to see? And we were in a garden. So I said, let's use shapes, colors, let's be inspired by this beautiful garden at your school. They didn't have to know how to draw necessarily. They just had to play and have fun, and then we would back up and we'd look together and decide what we thought worked best. Well, I guess that's the thing I want to share with you most is creativity is all just about moving your hands and trying new things. And it's okay to play, it's okay to not to know what you're doing, it's okay to experiment. That's the joy of life. I wanted to tell you a little bit more about the things I loved about this process and why I chose what I chose. If you look closely, I'm a fan of the orange and the pinks, clearly. I do love those colors. They're just bright and vibrant and exciting to me, and I like the way they sort of vibrate off of each other, certain colors, and I think these do. And there's just a little tension that colors create together, and I'm always looking for that. I enjoy that very much. But with this one, for example, it was just a color field, but then the patterns start layering and layering and layering. So I can't be afraid to wreck it. I don't know what it's going to happen, but I do start adding elements that I find are different scales. So this, for instance, I love this and this is a stencil, by the way. And so that stencil, it gives me my eye somewhere else to go. It's just not all the same. These beautiful drips, I think they're just good looking, right? I mean, they just happen. But this is another stencil that's got some letters on it. I don't want you to put words to it, so I purposely flip the letters so they don't make sense. A lot of this is just layer, 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 layer of pattern. But you have to step back. I do this a lot. I'll be crazy, and then I'll have to get way back, sit over there, and just look at it and think, all right, what's working about this? Do I like this pattern? Is my eye happy? Is there something that's starting to emerge? Maybe all of a sudden a big shape shows up, and then you're like, oh, maybe it's going to turn into a letter. I honestly had no idea that this was going to come out to be OMG, but when this O started appearing as an O, somehow when I looked at it, I thought, well, that'd be so funny if it was a big word, right? So then I started to purposely draw it out and make the shape pop out. And I did that by either darkening or lightening so you're going to get a background and a foreground, basically, is what I was going for. So the M starts to pull forward, and you knock this back. So I just played with that for a while. And then, of course, the G. Mr. G was the last one that actually got done, but I think he's rather fetching. I like this blue, so I kind of pulled a little bit of that blue. And the other thing that's really interesting, too, a lot of this is my personal calligraphy. These are my fingerprints. These are my choices. I touch it. I pet it, that's my thumb. This is, you get the feeling like these are my lines, these are my marks, these are my, all these little tiny things in there are choices, and they're, I guess, just a good part of the whole experience, and hopefully that energy comes through.